Hello,
Does
welcome
Rob
to
say?
Shut Up. Welcome to episode 3 of the balancemod podcast. First time on the main channel. With me today, it's me, GPS. The others are introduce yourself from the top.
I'm Captain Red.
I am McNam Jam.
I'm Quality Con, and I'm in the best engineer player in the world, just kidding.
And I'm Robson.
Cool. We're all here on the server. We decided to do a podcast / testing ground. People have discovered that cheats are on, so we're having fun. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about?
So, we have 3 different things we wanted to talk about today. There really isn't any sort of correlation between them besides just being either like points of contention in discussion on the Discord or just reoccurring topics based on vanilla gameplay or dissatisfaction with how they're performing in balance mod itself, which we have our the Sandman for the scout, the Eureka Effect for the engineer, and then as a third one for today, we're going to talk about all of the heavy shotguns. But it's at least getting into it. Do you guys have any initial thoughts on? We're going to talk about the Sandman first. Do you guys have any initial thoughts on the Sandman right now, whether it be a balance mod based or in vanilla?
How do I say this? At least in my opinion, like one thing I could say at least, or like initially, is that like both in vanilla and the B mod, the slow is not really helpful, and in my opinion, the moonshot should do more than just like 50% more damage on the moonshot itself. At least, or how does this? The sound it makes on the moonshot and like the amounts of times you can actually do that like consistently, it's gonna be, or how do I say this? It feels way more unsatisfying because you know how much less it does than it, like how much it does more extra compared to normal hit with the ball. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. Captain Red, I'm curious what you think as the resident scout player in terms of how the Sandman performs.
Oh man, so the Sandman is kind of really, it's difficult to properly balance with its current effect because it's disproportionately effective against fast classes because of how they program the slow. It cuts scout speed by like 45%. It only reduces pyros by like 27 or 30%, and it reduces soldiers' speed by 8%. But
yeah,
it's very inconsistent, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but if it's too consistent across the board, it could end up instantly dooming anyone it hits off of one fast projectile the scout doesn't really put himself at risk to throw. Because if it slowed soldier by 33%, it put him at 160 hammer units a second, which is as fast as a sniper drawing the huntsman.
So, the slow effect itself is potentially just something that could be too difficult to really equally balance across the board without it being too underwhelming or too overwhelming, as you just said.
Yeah, I think the slow is just kind of flawed because the slow effect in this game would be so strong if it worked across the board, especially on a class like Scout. Especially when he doesn't give up anything like passively to have it.
Yeah, and then as you also know too from before the stun was removed from it, like the stun originally was like super good because it was like a definitive like speed drop, but also made you incapable of really doing anything else. So we already kind of know that like a really powerful stun is a problem for Scout, and that's ignoring like the Guillotine combination with it before that was nerfed, and then like combining it with the Babyface's blaster. I remember that was a thing way back in like 2013, 2014. It was like really popular scout strategy. But yeah, so at least right now in balance mod with how it has been changed from vanilla is that the ball now does plus 150% damage. So the ball now deals about 38 damage per hit, which probably comes out to be 50 or so on mini crit, 55 or 60. But we actually tested this earlier. Turns out a crit moonshot with the Sandman right now does about 165 damage. So There is some possibility of
Yeah,
cheesing
169
people with it.
confirmed.
Oh god. Yeah,
But
that's
how often does that happen?
exactly. Exactly.
often
It's
at
a
all.
We played
It's
with
a
random
very
kits off, so
situational.
it's pretty rare that you will do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's a very situational sort of benefit, as Captain Red was saying, in terms of like the slow and then also landing the projectiles well, even though it is non-committal, it's just really low impact. And then at least compared to the other throwables Scout has in terms of the Sandman and then the Rap Assassin as the same type of weapon, it pretty much can be outclassed by both of them in most cases due to having having burst damage, but the Guillotine already offers better burst damage than it, a faster recharge, or a slightly slower recharge now because that was changed as of yesterday. But and bleed damage too. So the Guillotine can basically guarantee more initial damage without trading in your melee weapon for it. But additionally, the Rap Assassin also has relatively consistent damage as well as bleed as well, which does bypass or surpass the Sandman if enough time is allotted. So it kind of tries to balance itself out, but the Sandman, at least in my opinion, kind of falls short in terms of the initial burst damage. But I also do know that we originally had it at 45 damage on hit, and that was a bit too strong, especially when it was a mini crit or crit boosted, because that could potentially one-shot light classes without much commitment as well.
Yeah, I think there's actually footage of that in one of the compilations I made where I
Yeah, you
buffed it
gotta-
and then I just got sniped as a sniper just by a scout that I didn't see.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really make sense for the close range class to be able to snipe the long range class.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
kind of building off of that in terms of like the value you get from the slow, I would also argue that the slow itself is, as Captain Red said, it's either too good or too weak, and I would also attribute that to just not lasting long enough to really make use of. I mean, losing 20 to 30% on a medium speed or default speed class would be nice, but from most circumstances I know from using the Sandman, you have basically maybe a second or so to really capitalize on that when you're
Yeah.
closing the distance.
I think this is a remnant of when it used to combo with the cleaver, right? The Sandman cleaver combo was obnoxious, but it did something with the slow. But I don't think slow really should be in the game at all. So
Yeah.
we just haven't found a way to do that because it's coded to the ball, so we can't just easily just remove the slow because it's its
Yeah.
own thing. So, but it's definitely on our to-do list for sure.
Yeah, and then additionally, slow is also, as many YouTubers have talked about, slow is already bugged, where you can, press your AD keys or
Yeah,
your
I can
movement keys
just
to really sort
give
of
you an example of that right now. So, is anyone on the red team? No.
I can.
Okay.
Okay.
So, just gonna wait for you guys to show up. Yeah. So do a lot of damage to me now, right? All right. So then
Yeah,
I'm gonna
the
get
bonk.
slowed now, right? Take a look at this. But now I'm shuffling AD while I'm slow, and I run just at the normal speed. So
It's kind of an issue with bonk.
no,
and
it's
blow
just in
effects, but-
slow in general. You could also do that with the old Natasha if you got slow. You can just smash A and D, and you can just run at the same speed.
You should demonstrate it with the Sandman. Oh,
Yeah.
So it works. So if you have especially if you're using the null cancel script where you can just strafe like this. If you hit me again with the Sandman, it's one button less for me to press. So it's bugged. So and it
I
doesn't.
have a null cancel script. You should hit me with it so I can demonstrate.
Yeah,
Basically normal speed.
exactly.
Yeah. So I think you're pretty much spot on with it being a remnant of the old stun or the old cleaver combo. So, I mean, this kind of presents us with the question of how do we remedy this sort of situation with it, since it isn't awful to use, but it is just outclassed by its other options,
Yeah.
even in terms of the basic mechanics behind it, and then what it does give you is not equally comparable in practice.
Yes. So I can give you a bit of insight to my decision when I reworked the Sandman, because the official Sandman you have less health, right? 15 less health.
Yes.
That's pretty
Yes.
substantial on Scout because it's so fast. So usually you will close gaps and take more damage as a result.
Yes.
So I got rid of that entirely because, like, if you even look at the Rap Assassin, it doesn't do that, right? The Rap Assassin is just less damage. So basically what it is, it's like, it now does 28 instead of what does the bat do? Like
35.
35, yeah. So basically it's like if you manage to land the ball and then hit people with it, it's exactly the same as the bat, if you manage to land the ball as well. And that was kind of like the thing I went, I was like, to justify it not having the thing, so it does like less damage, the bat itself. But like, when you're playing Scout and using the Sandman, you don't necessarily hit people with the bat, you hit people with the ball.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I can
So-
understand it trying to, trying to mimic or follow in the Rap Assassin's footprints with that.
Yeah, so it's
Just
like a
make that.
different, and also the recharge is slower, so it's like more usable in close range, but less like damage from the ball itself. So it's kind of like a 50-50, but I'm not sure if it's like consistent with compared to other unlocks.
Yeah.
So yes,
So
I agree. We should definitely look into having the slow removed completely, and then like we have here, this is like a test version that's not live, but we have speed boost. So following like the Natasha logic of speeding ourselves up instead of slowing the enemy, since Scout's already pretty quick. I mean, I'm not sure if it's viable because Scout's already the fastest and he stacks speed differently, but it's better than being slowed.
Yeah, it's kind of the speed boost on hit is a little bit hard for me because its speed boosts are extremely, extremely powerful on Scout because it makes the thing he's best at even better.
Yeah.
yeah, I can also imagine how powerful it might be in the hands with like the Babyface's blaster or potentially other movement speed based
Yeah,
ability or
so if we take
unlocks for
the
Scout.
Babyface's blaster here, you have a base speed of like 320, right? And if I use... Yeah, I'm already above normal Scout speed just by hitting it. So yeah,
What about
it's-
with full boost and hitting it?
So that's a pretty strong combo. So I don't think we can do speeding up the Scout, but we could probably do something with the ball.
Yeah,
That's not
'cause,
obnoxious.
So
Yeah,
like,
because-
hold on, is the problem with the, or one of the problems with the Sandman right now is that like, by trying to change it, is that like, the slow on it is it hard coded on it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we could
So,
like I'm sure we could remove it, but we have like the coder, coder singular, who has bothered to learn how to script and hook the right stuff. He's busy reworking the NG pads to be a bit better. But yeah, I mean, eventually we could put that down the line. I don't think we have anything else lined up that needs specific coding, so I think we could. It depends on like how important it is, right? How much is it going to affect? Because when developing anything, you kind of have to prioritize what you want to focus on. You can't focus on everything, and we're very few who actually does the developing. But here, it's like me and Luke, and that's it.
yeah.
Who does the coding with help from you guys, and I'm still waiting for you, Quality, to fucking get that. Oh yeah, I'll combine the scramble plugin, sure. And it's been like a month.
Don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Well,
But yeah, like, what was, I just like remembered one about like the slow on hit, about that. I just remembered something that once happened, is that like, or how do I say this? Is it possible to like have speed boost and be slowed and speed boosted at the same time, or does it nullify it, each other?
I mean, we can try it right now. I mean, if
I can get speed boost, right? That's it. Alright.
you'd have to hit someone with the Sandman, and then you could have someone whip someone else, so you could give them the speed
Just hit
boost.
each other with it.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second.
Wait.
all right, I have a Sandman. Do you
Like,
even know
hold
what
on.
you're
I
doing?
think the slow overrides.
The
Like,
slow
how-
override.
All right,
No.
try on Rob's and Ben. Instead of a Scout, it's easier with the. It's probably easier with a heavy. It's a bigger target.
Alright.
Don't do that.
Coming down,
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
So if-
try this.
making some distance. So it looks like it overrides, yeah.
What overrides
'cause
what? The speed overrides the slow?
the slow
Slow
overrides the
overrides the
speed
speed.
boost.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can still do the AD through it, but I don't think I get the whip boost. I think the slow overrides.
Yeah, but that's why
No.
I'm just don't do the AD. Alright,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make
I didn't
sense.
do it at the I didn't do it at the end. I was
Hold
going
on, I
slower.
need to get
Yeah,
some.
okay. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So at least for my small little list of potential change ideas, maybe just slightly adjusting the ball damage in the same way as the Hulong. So, like the normal ball itself does a bit more, but the mini crit or crit boosted ball does less damage. So it doesn't allow for, like, sniper sniping with the ball or like high damage, cheese plays with what may be allowed with it. But then
Yeah,
again,
we
that's
could
already
make
kind
it
of
so that
situational.
it can't crit. I wonder if it works with the cow mangler stat.
Yeah.
But
I'm also worried about it affecting the Sandman itself too, but then again, Scout Melee is already kind of a highly situational weapon for hitting people with, so
yeah.
I mean, but either way, that was at least my thought, because at least then you can make the ball hitting someone feel a little bit better as a bit more of a burst versus a DOT with the
Yeah,
Rap
because you
Assassin
have
Guillotine.
because the trick is to balance it. Because I don't think we need to touch the Rap Assassin, but I do think
Yeah.
it's like the Rap Assassin is a good baseline of bleed, right? So that is like you can throw it more often. It does less damage, and it bleeds too. So it's like I think around the damage it could probably be the same, but it depends on like what you want, right? And how you balance it. It's kind of like. Another good baseline is probably Sniper Stock versus Tribalman's Shiv in terms of damage.
Yeah.
So it depends on hits and recharge and how often you hit.
Yeah. But that was my sort of thought, just lowering the crit damage a little bit in turn of boosting the base ball damage. So it means when you're using it, like when you're wanting to land a burst damage on someone, and you can follow it up, it's a bit better for you. But the crit damage in turn, just so it's not potentially as annoying with boosted damage, and then critical or any other sort of like boosting effect. Scout may be able to
Yeah.
siphon off of teammates.
Currently talking to some competitive players, and they're proving very difficult to get the information I want from them because they are just talking competitively, which doesn't translate well to game design and what's actually
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
And
Another point.
definitely like one thing that's important there is scout long range burst options with low risk.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what we
Yeah.
have to avoid, right? So that's kind
Yeah.
of like what got the flying or the flying guillotine nerfed. Is because not that because it's a problem in the balance mod and we have someone abusing it, but it's because the potential is there for scout to not engage and just keep spamming 50 damage at long range with no risk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I have written down for Sandman potential changes. And then I also wanted to mention that there was a guillotine change. I know that was sent through finalized feedback, which if that had gone through, potentially that would help. That would have inadvertently shadow buffed the Sandman as well. But that I think the weapon probably just needs its own buff to stand on rather than another weapon to make it more viable to be used in
but you also
tandem
got to
with.
keep in mind that when you're using the flying guillotine, you are swapping out your pistol.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you're
you
giving
lose
up reliable
finish damage.
mid-range finisher potential for potential high damage dealing projectile that you may miss most of the time.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
All right, yeah.
And then what did you have, Captain Red?
For the Sandman like solution. Okay, so I
Uh,
have a bunch of random ones, but I have a couple of them that I like more than others. So my favorite solution is probably to restore a percentage of any chargeable meters that the scout has on like a hit, like 20% maybe, 25%, and then like 33 or 35 on moonshots.
Okay, so you want to combo it with meter-based weapons. Okay.
Because he has a lot of meter-based weapons.
Yeah.
that would be like the sodas, Mad Milk, Guillotine.
The
The
drinks.
soda popper
oh,
potentially.
no.
That might be a problem.
That would be the
Soda
primaries too, wouldn't it?
I mean,
Yeah,
all,
the
I
BFB and the popper.
like right now I'm running, baby faces and bonk and and Sandman, so that means that I would double the boost gain on hit because it's 2 weapon that gets boosted, right?
Type 2. That could actually be pretty good in terms of giving it a little bit more of a niche there, I suppose.
Yeah, which is why I only put it at like 20% or something for a starter, because I don't want it to restore a huge amount of like your guillotine charge to double cleaver people, or to cut the entire critical charge, or to give 100.
Yeah, and then base it on a skill shot that you can somewhat remedy by, you know. But either way, I mean, that could be pretty interesting to see, because I like the concept of just being able to,
Yeah.
you know.
The
There was a whole
thing
thought process behind.
only thing you have to keep in mind is when you're making something gimmicky like that, but it's like, yeah, but what if you're not using anything that recharges? Would it recharge itself?
Yeah. I mean, it could recharge itself. It could also restore a max ammo or whatever. Another effect tacked on to make it so it can still be useful when there's no chargeables.
I often like to think about like the logic thing. Like what would a baseball mean if you got hit by it in real life, you know? And what if we were carrying a weapon, what would happen?
Probably a visual effect, honestly.
No, I mean like what can you do with a ball? You throw with a ball, all right? So ideally you want the effect of the one you hit to be on the one you hit and not yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah. I mean,
In theory,
I know
but
we,
we'd have to come up with a debuff that's balanced in the way that it doesn't insta-fuck anybody that gets hit,
Yeah.
but it's still useful.
We could use the MVM upgrade, so it marks for death.
yeah, that was.
To be fair,
mentioned as well.
I feel like that one kind of falls under the category of insta-fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like the Fan-O-War ranged, right? So that would totally kill any reason to use the Fan-O-War, because this would work close range too.
Yeah, because
It would also be disproportionately strong with certain primaries, because certain primaries benefit more from mini-crits.
Yeah, exactly. So I think from the suggestions we have, I think like it's just best to keep it simple, like just have it deal damage and no slow, and that's it.
yeah, you could basically, in a sense, make it the stock ranged projectile weapon for scout.
Yeah.
Then you have, you know, a rap assassin be like, oh, it faster charges and bleed, but less damage.
Because we do have the options of the Guillotine and the Rap Assassin to mess around with, so they all are similar, but they're all good at different things.
Yeah.
I mean, what would happen if you hit the ball at the building? Could you move it? Could you like knock a sentry a few meters back?
Well,
Yeah, that would be pretty broken.
either way.
Anyway,
Robson, do you have any thoughts?
I have myself like, how do I say this? I suggested the thing about like I would suggest 2 of the things, like one of or how do I say this? Sorry. Either like when you hit somebody with the moonshot, you either get the speed boost, but I guess that got already covered since like how do I say this? It got already tested here, or like not tested, but like it's already right now on the Sandman, and I guess it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was another idea I had, like that I don't think I have told yet, like here at least, is that what if instead of it on the baseball on hit, what if instead of doing like straight up damage, it reduces the max HP by like 30 to whoever got hit by it for a certain amount of time.
yeah.
So the same as like having like the, how do I say this? The current B modded disciplinary action like equipped for a certain amount of time without you actually being able to control whenever you get it or not when you get hit by the
Yeah.
ball.
So it's like damage, but it's like gradual damage, and it affects your overheal too, right? Because it's max health.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead of like being gradual, you just lose that max, like the amount you lose of the max HP will be instant.
Yeah.
So like that would also like change the like amount of heals you get, or like overheals, and then how much you would get from health packs and such
Yeah.
for that duration of that.
Because what happens with the the disciplinary action is that you get down to 170, right?
Mhm.
And then I can switch back and forth, and even if I hurt myself, I don't lose any more than the first initial 30.
Yes.
So that would mean that the Sandman would only be effective against players who have high health or has not lost 30 health. So that could actually be an interesting unlock, because I don't think there's anything else that does that in that way. And that would mean it's kind of like an unseen debuff you can apply to, let's say, like the biggest impact. If it's not based on percentage, but it's based off just pure health, it would do the least against heavy and like the most against squishies, right? Because 30 health is a lot more for light
Well, yeah.
classes than for heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's definitely an interesting concept.
Yeah, that definitely could be something to. That's definitely worth a look.
It's I don't there's no weapon that does that so far, and it could work.
It definitely would help Scout in terms of following up on potentially high priority targets that typically
Yeah,
usually
and I
have
would
very
say it
low
would be a
health
good way
pools.
up to just start, right? Because if you, let's see, how would that actually work? Because once it is like once you regain, or once the duration is over, you will gain the health that you lost, but you won't get it back. Like you will just get the empty pool back.
Yes, the same way it is with the disciplinary action
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah, so it would only do anything if the opponent had health within 30 of max.
Well, we could you could like make it a combination that it does damage and does that, right? So you don't risk the kind of like, oh, that guy has like 10 HP left, I'm gonna hit him with this ball, and then it does, like you hit him and it does nothing.
Oh well, yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah. Oh yeah, that
But yeah,
makes
it
sense,
could be something we swap the slow for, I think, just
Oh, yeah.
like an additional thing in addition to having it do damage, because then as long as the target is at full health, it matters more, but less
Yeah.
if he has low health.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would be something you like initiate a fight with
Yeah.
to be in an advantage.
You just kind of throw it out before the fight starts. So it's kind of like the MVM thing, except not as telegraphed to your teammates, I would think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be something you mainly could follow up with and have its own sort of different niche in terms of fighting a single target, whatever, compared to like something like the Phantom War, because Phantom War Mark for Death, either you follow it up or your teammates can, but like with the Sandman, definitely feel like it'd be something more you would be able to follow up with without having to like switch to your melee weapon and actually melee someone in ideal scattergun range. So definitely could be something.
Mm.
Anyway, I think we should move on to talking about the next weapon of discussion, which would be the Eureka Effect, which I know has been a little bit of topic about for engineer discussion over the last few months or so, since there are a lot of people are not really satisfied with what it offers and how it has been changed. As one of the biggest changes from vanilla it's gotten is that it no longer has its own cheaper teleporters, but balancemod has cheaper teleporters for every wrench.
Yeah.
So
I can
Yeah.
explain quickly the reasoning behind that.
oh yeah, for sure.
Everybody who's played the game for a little while, they have all the unlocks, right?
Presumably.
Yeah. So if you're a new player and you just don't have the Eureka Effect, because what every engineer pregame was, if you wanted to play optimally, was that you always use the Eureka Effect for your first teleporter, and then you switch off, and then you don't use it, and then you only use it to get the free teleporter. So that's like, or the cheaper teleporter. So that's like a really, I would say, like, it becomes a must pick, a must have, and if you don't have it and you don't use it, it will cost you 400 metal more than your opponent who does it, just to get teleporters up. So instead of making it the busy work of just switching to the Eureka Effect, we made it so that it's for every range. The only difference that we have here is also it builds the or the teleporters and dispensers, they build faster by themselves, a little bit faster.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. But I don't think anyone's
Yeah.
really noticed that. But yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. I know the place of contention was specifically about no longer having its own special teleporter sort of usage to it, because some people believe that it has been pigeonholed into still being that perfect rollout wrench or jag effect, as has been put before. And I know another one of the changes that balance mod has added to it is that it now restores your health and your metal on warping back to spawn, which actually makes it a pretty consistent getaway tool in a like the right kind of situation.
And in the same
Since now it
fashion,
means-
you know,
yeah.
certain maps don't have resupply lockers, so teleporting back to those and then having to use the, you know, refresh loadout button. But not
Yeah.
all players are using that. So once again, it's like this weird thing, like, oh well, you have to play this a very specific way in order to get usage out of this unlock. So it makes no sense for it to be like that. So that's why we had it. And then also someone is complaining that it doesn't like doesn't refill your clip, but it doesn't have to. It's just your metal and health.
Yeah.
If you really
But,
want to
you know-
refill the clip, you can still do the loadout thing. It will just be slower than if you didn't.
Yeah. But either way, so there's been like I will say, after having used it through several anecdotal evidence here, but I will say after using through several games on balance mod exclusively and like trying it out in many different situations, I will say that it kind of falls in line as being a very strong what I will call an end game wrench. I believe each wrench kind of has its own little niche of where it like excels in the game state of like engineer buildings, where it's like in the very beginning the jag is really good because it's really good at getting a base set up, but once you get your base set up, it's not as good as maintaining your buildings on its own. And then, if we were to look at the balance mod Southern Hospitality, that has a slower startup, but it has a much better payoff in the end because you get bigger dispenser range. It has bleed on hit, so you can a little bit of self-defense in there too. So, it's a pretty good, end game when all your stuff's level 3. And then I believe the Eureka Effect is also really good for that because, in the early game, it's not really good, or at least specifically anymore when you want to build your teleporters, thanks to, the universal buff. But what it means is that once your base is all set up and you have the Eureka Effect, the reduced metal pickup doesn't really matter that much. You can still warp back to spawn and warp back to your teleporter if you need it, which doubles as both there's a spy at spawn, I can warp back and kill him, or my base is about to collapse, I'll just warp back to spawn and then, I can recommit at another time.
It's
Or at least guarantee the
yeah,
escape.
the Eureka Effect has a single point of failure, though, that the other ranges don't, and that is if your teleporter exit goes down, then the entire concept is moot, right? Because you're totally reliant on the exit being operable. To teleport and do everything. So it's extremely teleporter centric, and and sometimes it's like your teleporter exit goes down, but your stuff is under attack, and if you leave to kind of rebuild your entrance or whatever, your stuff's gonna get taken out. So you're kind of forced to stay and defend and have the more costly upgrades and repair and stuff. So
it definitely has it is definitely a downside to it in terms of when you actually need to sit down and build your stuff, because there are circumstances where warping back to spawn is not, as you just said, GPS, it's not as viable, or as it's not what you need to do in terms of your best interests or your team's. So in terms of some actually quality, do you have any thoughts on this, since I know as the resident best engineer player, as you said?
So yeah, right now in BMod, right, the problem is that when you teleport away, your buildings are undefended. And you could just pick up a health pack or ammo pack, get the same effect. So it's really just setup and escaping. And building sentries behind the enemy team. That's the three things it's good at, I would say. And none of them are really so good that's a reason to run it over stock or the Southern Hospitality.
Well,
I would say that.
I think it's probably the best option. Well, it gives engineer a secondary option other than Gunslinger and 5CP or maps where spawns change and stuff. So it allows you to just have your stuff up as long as you have your teleporter exit, and it doesn't cost you an additional metal because you use the respawn room.
I did want to say that about 5CP. It's actually very strong on 5CP for that.
Yeah, exactly. So Like,
Like-
I've used it too, so I think it's fine. It has its own thing, it does it well, but then, like, as soon as the teleporter exit fails, you feel it. Because everything you do is more expensive. Repairing is more expensive, building is more expensive. It's, 20% more
Yeah.
expensive everything. And if you have to rebuild, like, your sentry nest and stuff, and you can't teleport, or, I mean, if you do, you lose, right? You can always teleport and run away, and then you can lose, but... yeah, I think it serves its purpose well. I don't think it needs to have anything done with it. Like right now, we put some slower movement speed on, which I don't fully understand why we would do that.
That's-
But
Yeah,
Can
I
I
was.
explain it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so basically, alright, so first of all, it makes the things that the Eureka Effect is good at, like, better. I would say it makes it better to a point where it's actually worth running it, even when you're not on like 5 CP, where you're gonna be way far away from your stuff. And it just makes it like so you're not just relying on your teleporter exit, because even if you don't have one, you still have some boost. I mean, people say that movement speed on engineer is kind of like, so good, but like, I don't think it would be that good. Just make it so you can get back to the fight quicker if your teleporter exit's destroyed, or get back to spawn quicker if you're like don't want to teleport, but that doesn't matter. And then you could also get from the exit to the actual stuff. I would say that would actually make it actually good as like an option, even on the pure defense, because you can do the thing where you destroy sappers and stuff, So that's the thing it's also really good at. It would make it even better because you can run from the exit to like every building way faster and destroy it.
I mean, that's probably something.
I didn't quite understand that. Could you
That's-
give me the short version?
It makes it better at the things it's good at, and just makes it have a better upside when you're not have a teleporter exit.
When you're slow.
Yeah.
What?
No, he's 10%
Anyway,
faster movement speed.
Yeah, it's faster.
Oh, you want... Oh, I put 10% slower movement speed on it.
Fucking,
No, it's supposed to be 10% faster movement speed.
do you think I was gonna nerf the Eureka Effect because it's too OP or what?
Okay,
Anyway,
well,
yeah,
that changes everything, because that's not what it said in the freaking chat.
Did I say slower?
We got-
It says
Minus
faster.
10%.
It said dash as in.
Oh,
Well, either way, I mean, I
Alright.
honestly could kind of see it going both ways. I feel like 10% would make it like a little bit more consistent in that, but I'm kind of in the same camp
I
as
don't think.
GPS.
Okay, so I've updated it now. So if we switch loadouts with engineer back and forth, we will have the faster movement speed. So we will run at 330 instead of 300. So if I go any other loadouts, this is the normal speed, right? So Robson, you have the Eureka Effect, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we just run past here, just run.
Yeah, I'm currently behind you, but I know I'm catching up and going in front of you.
Yeah, okay. Why don't we run sideways? Alright, strafe.
Yeah, I'm slightly faster than you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're about 10%, I would say. So if you build a dispenser and then you pick it up, what is the speed then? Because that's probably the most important
Yeah.
thing.
According to Nam, it's the same as running at default speed.
It should be close to it. I could
Yeah.
be wrong.
So you're running at, yeah. I don't see why we need to add this though. Because it's strong enough what it does. It does what it does well. You have infinite metal supply as long as you have your teleporter somewhere. You don't need to run faster. The single point of failure is to make it so it hurts, right? Because you're the one thing linking you to the infinite metal supply is gone.
Yeah. Something I had suggested previously, which I believe we had confirmed, is not possible through simple attribute changes, is increasing the taunt speed, just to give it a little bit more oomph in terms of when you need to leave your nest. There is, you're not leaving yourself vulnerable as long as you otherwise would, just
Okay.
I feel
because.
like that would kind of create a bonk atomic punch problem where if the engineer ever needs to escape, he just walks around a corner, taunts, and he gets away for free no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a little check here if I go on the other team here and I just go engineer. Right, and let's say you play soldier or something. Or are you gonna sell something to chase me? Right?
Blow him up.
So you're gonna see him, I'm like, ah, shit, okay, so I'm gonna do this,
no.
right? And then... Oh yeah, oh, you got me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have to either fight or it's not like I can't escape from combat tool. I just have to. It's like in my own time.
Yeah. Additionally, with that too, at least in comparison to Bonk in that regard, Captain Red, I would argue that the engineer is also trading his buildings' lives for that as well. It means you are giving up on what you currently have and are, you're cutting your losses and running. Well, Scout basically has to do that, or else Scout is killed and loses, whatever positioning advantage he may have over the enemy team.
Because also you got to keep in mind that increasing the move speed of the engineer will also increase his shotgun damage as well. And it will also with the rescue ranger, which means you could sneak up on enemies faster, you could escape everything faster, so your effective health is even larger as well as a result.
Yeah,
and I think it would just be too strong compared to every other range.
Yeah, the working theory I had was that with NG pads, you could set your teleporter exit to be a speed pad. You could warp to the speed pad, and then you could use the panic attack or the Widowmaker and just be a faster scout with, in theory, infinite ammo.
Yeah.
On the enemy. Maybe a gimmick strategy, but still could probably.
Gimmick strategy. It's about as useful as having a teleporter behind enemy lines and teleporting half your team behind where they need to be, and then losing and wondering why you lost.
Very true. Well, either way, it's just a potential worry in terms of exacerbating what you just talked about in terms of shotgun.
But it also comes down to understanding what you're giving up and what you actually have.
For sure.
Because there's it has to be very tricky or careful with the game designs to give people tools, right? Because just on a side note, I'm trying to figure out what makes the quick fix banned in 6s, right? And then eventually, I've been gathering, I've actually been talking to Banny, but he hasn't been able to give me any insight yet because I think he's busy or he forgot or something. But he said he would do it. But basically, it's like the problem that you can jump away your medic for free. And then it's like, okay, but if you know they're running quick fix, you know they're gonna do that. So that means you can't bomb the medic like you normally do. So that means you can't engage the situation like you normally did, because if you do that, they run away. It's similar to in regular StarCraft 1, if you put 3 of those siege tanks, those artillery units, above a ramp, Bio can't go, you can't go up the ramp. No matter what you do, you just if you go up the ramp, you die because there's 3 tanks there and they will kill everything. And it's similar with the quick fix. Well, if I have the quick fix, you can't bomb because I will jump away before you hit me every time. And then there's a question well, are players fine with that? Are players fine with the mentality of well, how do I attack a minefield? And the answer is you don't. You avoid the minefield, or you disarm it. You never attack it. So that's also one thing coming into when you're balancing what is deliberately a hurdle for engineer. And I would say this Eureka Effect speed boost falls within the thing of not wanting to, I would say, accept the full downsides of the weapon and the playstyle it sort of forces upon you, and just have it do a bit of everything. Because I do think if you have 10% faster movement speed, you can very easily compensate for the less metal gain. You will be able to pick up more because you run faster.
For sure. Any thoughts, Quality? I think we're gonna move on.
Yeah,
to the next.
that's fair enough. Actually.
Get fucking destroyed, nerds.
I mean, for sure. I mean, I don't mind. It really changes how you play, but I definitely think giving it a little.
That's
too much of a
also one thing that's very what I have in mind when I'm designing and rebalancing the stuff. Is this sort of mentality, right? So if I were to ask you about this is a side note on the quick fix thing, are you fine with that? Let's say you're a soldier and you're used to just being able to bomb whenever you want, and then suddenly it's well, you can, but you won't get the prize that you normally get because it gets away if you do it.
Yeah, it would become a question of, at least in regard to sixes, what trade-off can you make without gimping yourself against every other situation? Since
Yeah.
that means, the generalist, big, popular application of bombing and, succeeding is now thrown out the window. So now it means you need to dip into the unlock pool, or, your team has to completely switch up their strategy of approach.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, um,
Yeah, I just want to hear the
other
other guys' opinion on this as well.
I personally don't like the meta of bombing literally 24/7 until you get a pick and then you push the point. So I say just keep it. But
Yeah, keep it away. Yeah, I would say like it adds an
What
option.
happens in its place? Nobody makes any plays at all, or you have to go sniper or spy to break the stalemate.
Yeah, I mean, competitive players, they have a deep but not very wide understanding of the game, and because they play a very specific way, and I've been told like, oh yeah, certain unlocks they slow down the game, and then like okay, but I also seen games where you play all stock and you both slow down the game. You know, it's not just the unlocks, it's the players and how they play. I mean, there's a valid strategy to choose not to attack and just kind of bunker down and don't go anywhere, and then the opposing team just has to deal with it. You know,
which
that's
is
part of the game.
why sack meta is a thing, which is why Soldier has basically been relegated to a suicide bombing machine as of late.
Right. Yeah, anyway, you guys had more stuff. Sorry, I derailed everything.
it's all good. Last part we wanted to talk about, moving on from the Eureka Effect, was to talk about the heavy shotguns as a whole, since that has been another major point of discussion in the Discord. I know a couple people in-game have even thrown out some comments about, why don't heavy shotguns do this? Why does Lunchbox do this? Blah, 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 blah. And it always comes back to, what did I actually write for this? The TLDR, which I know a lot of people, sentiment a lot of people share, but not a lot of people really agree with, and is contested a lot, is that the shotguns are viable as is, but it all really depends on what your teammates are doing in the situation you find yourself. Quality mentioned something before we started that I thought was a pretty good checklist of things you can mark off before it's like, okay, now running a shotgun is good. Do you remember what that was, Quality?
yeah, so it was one, you have a weapon that would benefit from you being able to use a backup. So like the brass beast is deployed, you take ages to be set up. So you're gonna get caught out a lot. So that is a situation where a shotgun would be good. And second thing you have to do is make sure that you're not gonna die because you're not gonna heal yourself. So either have a really good medic, or you're staying around a health pack the entire time. And if you have a medic, you have to also make sure that the medic doesn't die. So, yeah, those are the three things. If you have those three things done, then yeah, you can use the shotgun.
Without potentially strongly gimping yourself, because at least in most cases, a self-healing or teammate healing largely outweighs increased utility in terms of being able to deal damage. But
Yeah.
that, once again, I would say that normally falls into what minigun loadout you're specifically bringing.
Yeah, it also depends on people's play styles. I've said this a lot, and there's people who are when they play with a shotgun, they play as if they're running a lunchbox item. Like, if you're trying to run shotgun heavy and you're running eviction notice or gloves are running urgently, I'm talking about the regular eviction notice, which is just meant for speed. You're kind of playing it wrong, because every time you reposition yourself, you're supposed to run the shotgun because it's instant damage. That's basically it. And there's not many heavies who run the shotgun, and they greatly the shotgun can put out more damage than your sandwich heals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah.
So
Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of a situational sort of endeavor, since it being able to use, in my opinion, with the two pub meta weapons being the stock minigun and the Tomislav, most of the time you die when you're not ready is typically when you are already like retreating from a fight, or if someone like gets the drop on you that you actually didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
So the circumstances where a shotgun is like really good is like it's kind of already in situations where you already would be killed, at least from my play experience, but it also does have quite a lot of utility in terms of traveling between locations using brass beast. If you already have healing, it's really nice too. It's also really good at finishing off people as well, since you can't really chase as easily with heavy, having to jump
Yeah.
rev constantly.
And you'll be surprised how often you can get kills if you just throw out a shotgun shot whenever you can. And there's also like the issue with a lot of other classes. Like, if you play on a team where all soldiers are running shotgun and all pyros are running shotgun and the heavies are running shotgun, your team is gonna have a freaking amazing mid-long range finishing. You'll be able, like, if everybody just gets used to just throwing out shotgun shots whenever they see something that's out of range when they're repositioning, you'll get so many kills. And the reason I know this is we used to play a lot with bots, right? And the bots do this. The bots do not give a fuck about anything. They will just literally just whip, like if they think they can hit you with a shotgun, they will do it, and they will all do it together. And a lot of like sentry rigs and stuff that stays up would have been taken down if the pyros weren't running, flare gun, and the soldiers weren't running gunboats, and the heavies weren't running sandwich. Because keep in mind, you can run with the shotgun to have sentry pushback negated, and then once you've emptied your shot, you can like switch to Tomislav or whatever and rev up and shoot and finish. But you will already be closer, and having done damage while moving at the same time. That's the sort of the thing, shooting and moving fast at the same time.
Yeah, which is partially where the Natasha really excels, just having a combination of both despite the reduced damage, which I think was, we'll get into it in a little bit, but that was a qualities sort of a thought process behind one of the shotgun changes to heavy, to make it more of that kind of tool. At least in regard to direct changes in balance mod for the shotguns, there actually has only been a direct change to the fists, which have inadvertently been a buff to all shotguns across the board, which is a 20% faster reload speed, which actually makes, at least in my opinion, it makes the family business probably the best, if not the only option you really should be using for shotgun heavy, just because the damage you're trading off from stock, maybe less so the panic attack, because that has some utility in terms of the fast deploy and high burst damage at close range, but the family business with 8 shots, 15% damage penalty, but also a faster firing speed just allows you to, throw out more damage that's only very, very slightly less than the stock shotgun.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my big talking point for today. It was just the family business being.
I actually haven't run the numbers on that, but lately I've been looking into like the soda popper and just seeing how much reload time and firing speed and stuff matters.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to make the connection, but I do think they should be fairly fine. I think it depends on how long you're in the fight and how many shots are fired. I think the longer you shoot, it will benefit the family business, and the less you shoot, the better is the shotgun. Which also depends on how long you're in the fight and how much you commit.
Yeah, I would probably say, at least just looking at face value at the stats of each weapon, I would probably say the family business would be a bit better for the kind of the shotgun spam situation you were talking about, HiGPS, just in terms of having the bigger clip size, but also the reload speed as well means that you have a somewhat reduced downtime before you can just start heckling people from afar again. And then the damage penalty also doesn't make that, as far as I understand, just looking at the numbers from the wiki, it doesn't make that massive of a difference in terms of fighting opponents, besides not letting you two-shot.
It's actually pretty much identical to the shotgun in terms of damage if you fire all the shots. So the only downside is that you have to reload 2 additional shots.
Yeah.
But with 20% of reloading 6 and reloading 8, when consecutive reloads are so fast, might look like that the family business might be the better choice. So I actually haven't tested that, so that's something I'll be looking into.
Oh, and the thumper exists, which is even better than the shotgun at single target damage.
Yeah, the thumper. We don't have the creators active just yet because they still haven't fucking fixed the lag that comes whenever someone respawns.
We'll see about talking about those maybe at some point in the future. But yeah, I would honestly say, Rob San or Captain Red, any thoughts on heavy shotguns before we get into ideas we've spitballed? Or
Not really at the moment, or at least anything that has been said already, or how this is. I don't have anything to add that has not been said already.
Yeah.
Gadred, you have anything?
Not really. The shotguns are kind of like, I don't play heavy, and I don't know much about the way that you use them on him because I run the chocolate full time.
Fair enough. Alright, so talking about like the only really like possible change idea I had, I know we have qualities, some of his ideas set on the shotguns, but right now, but really quick, just wanted to mention like the only change I even thought of would be like just modifying the family business in some small slight way to actually give some more credence towards using the stock shotgun, because at least if I was to run shotgun and heavy, I probably would run everything but stock, even if it was panic attack and do as I like to call combo heavy, which would be Tomislav, panic attack, and stock fists, because the stock fists also give you 40% faster switch speed. So that's quick rev, you know, quick panic attack, switch to your fist if you
yeah,
need
you
to.
can actually dual wield the fists and the shotgun, so you can actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a gimmick strategy, but at least in regard to, you know, running shotgun heavy and making it work, it could definitely work out. Even if you use something like Natasha and, you know, farm to speed boost hit, unrevved and jump revved mid-fight, switching to your panic attack, fists, whatever. Like, that also could potentially work. But, yeah, just something for the family business, just because, it just seems like the in general, somewhat better option unless, you know, you were really able to make use of the faster reload speed with, the stock shotgun.
Wait, what? Is the reload speed on the panic attack faster for some reason?
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
that's-
yeah. You changed that. That was one of qualities changes.
Oh, we did that today? Oh yeah, that's why it's so insane now.
Oh,
I forgot I had it.
Okay. Okay,
quality
so
has a button.
Like with
I
the fist,
changed-
it's like, I'm done. It's like,
alright, I forgot about the fist thing, so...
Anyway,
Yeah,
this is pretty
why
insane.
don't you go down your list?
holy shit.
Alright, my list is, alright, so first of all shotguns holster 25% faster. Just makes it way better for going like, boom, I'm gonna shoot somebody, I'm gonna go to the minigun, and then I'm gonna shoot them. Which is, you know, what we talked about. It's really good when you get close to somebody and you go to your minigun, finish them off while it's like, close to it. That's where the minigun is better. Then there's a few changes specific to each shotgun, which is kind of based around the same thing as the medic fucking melees. Because on the medic melees, everything that's not utility sucks. Which means the bone saw sucks. So now we haven't made it utility, so it doesn't suck as much. So basically, I'm making the shotguns also be some sort of utility. So the changes are stock shotgun. If you kill somebody, you get 20% of your base HP back, like the katana. So it's kind of like a pocket. It's like a sandwich, kind of, but like also the shotgun, like a hybrid. It still give up the thing where you heal your medic. So it's kind of, you know.
Yeah. This is probably
And then-
something that Big Joey would suggest and think was a good idea.
Is that a good thing or a bad
No,
thing?
it's bad. Holy shit.
Okay, alright. Fine. Alright, and then there's the family business, which is probably the most balanced thing I've come up with today. It's, basically it's a pocket Natasha,
Yeah.
which, as you said before, like, you can't chase them. But now you can, because actually shoot them and you get the speed boost and you can run after them. You can shoot it and run away. Or it does everything good that Natasha does good, but without having to rev up. And I think this could actually be pretty good if you paired it with like the Tomislav. And it also has like a damage penalty, so you know, it actually has a downside now that's noticeable. So it doesn't shoot faster for some reason.
Yeah.
Then panic attack, as I said, I forgot about the fist, so just ignore that change.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I'll let all you guys give your opinion, and then I'll shut it down like I always do at the end.
So, who starts? Magnum jump?
Yeah, Rob. So why don't you go for it?
way too, or at least in my opinion, way too OP with the KGB. Or maybe not OP, but very strong. Like you could just like shoot somebody with the family business and then like get crits with the KGB and then like just shred everyone with your minigun.
Yeah.
Requires you to get in melee range first and then not using your minigun, which kills them.
But that's where the speed boost comes in. You just shoot them a few times, and then when you're closer in because of the speed boost, like you will be able to like just finish them off with the melee or like the KGB, and also because of the damage penalty, you will do less damage per shot. As in, like that will allow you to even more easily to, instead of killing them with the shotgun or like the family business too fast, you can just get enough damage to make them weak but not kill them instantly with the shotgun or like the family business, so you can finish off with the KGB.
I think that like this would you would be able to get some pretty crazy punishes off some failed bombs where you just use this to reposition yourself to get the kill. Because I think the reason that this works, sorry for butting in, but yeah, I think the reason this can work for the Natasha is that it's not really possible to chain the speed boost into something else because you unrev and let me just check it real quick. So let's say if I do. Yeah, there's not enough time for me to unrev and then switch weapons and then gain like a big advantage of it because it lasts very little. But with the reason like you can have speed boost on hit for the eviction notice is that because you can't run the KGB and the eviction notice at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
So I think like speed boost on hit on shotgun is a bit too strong because it's hit scan and you can basically do it from any range without any commitment. And I imagine that if you had like this, you could pretty much stay like really far away like this and just move like this. You can see I can like stay here, and as long as I'm just pointing, I will be sure to hit something and I can run. And it's basically free speed at that point.
Oh yeah, it will be quite also strong when like crossing enemy or like sniper sidelines.
Yeah, and then also retreating. Keep in mind I can run and shoot backwards at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So
that was kind of
I would rate this as being like too OP because it gives the slow class too much speed and mobility.
Oh yes.
I think.
I mean, maybe it would be better if you didn't reload your clip in a second. The thing.
No, I don't think clip size reloading is an issue there. I think it's just the concept of the secondary slot gives you so much freedom of what you can do, and you can combo into so much else, and you can use it to attack, you can use it to defend, you can use it to retreat, you can use it to move into body block stuff, you can combo it with the Fist of Steel, so you shoot and then you have like, you know, the damage reduction while you're moving fast at the same time, and then you can like instantly switch back, do it again and switch back, so you can like approach really closely. I think so. The combo potential is enormous for it to do a lot of things.
I mean, that really. Okay, my question now is it that really purely a bad thing, or is it just a seems OP thing?
No, I'm just saying that a heavy shotgun works very particularly with how he moves and stuff. But now with this thing, he can pretty much effortlessly close gaps. Like the speed boost here is only a second, which isn't much, but because it's rapid fire, I can just chain it together. And the damage doesn't really matter, because, you know, keep in mind this is in the vacuum, so there will always be teammates and there will always be enemies, and then eventually the enemies would be feeding your position from afar. While if you have the, let's see, the speed for using this on, it's 332, right? And for the Natasha,
it's faster than default speed.
It's more than like, Natasha is 177 speed max, so you're pretty slow. But with this thing, you're actually, 322, so you're faster than your average class, which means you can catch up to them.
Wait, really? Wait, where can you see your speed? No, that's the
you do CL_ show POS.
It's how the speed boost effect works. It affects each class by I think 40%, or it sets their speed to a certain amount.
Yeah.
But heavy with the speed boost goes to faster than the
Yeah,
default.
so it's
movement
like
speed.
a self whip for heavy, and we already know how most competitive players feel about whipping a heavy to mid.
mean-
you know.
Well, but you can't whip somebody. You can't shoot somebody to mid if there's nobody to shoot.
No, but you can get whipped, and then you can continue to shoot while the soldier goes and does other stuff. So you can kind of like whip yourself by shooting the enemy. So you're being rewarded from just throwing out stuff.
Yeah, it's I like already just theory crafting this. I can already see like running stock fist, this shotgun, and then either potentially like pretty much any minigun of your choice, because you just will be using this in any downtime you have with enemies to just shoot them and get
Robson, can you
movement
please
speed.
stop?
And then,
Oh my god.
you just sprint into them. Like,
Mm.
like I definitely see this as like, I definitely agree that I think this could be too good,
Yeah.
and I don't really know how you can
Because
really.
it's not like a
follow this
medic
up.
where we can like take the properties of you know, healing and survival and uber building and just put them on different unlocks and it's fine, because this is like the secondary slot and it's movement on the slowest class, which is slow for a reason. And
I
yeah.
mean, not gonna lie, I underestimated how fast the movement speed buff is. I
Yeah.
thought it was like
Yeah,
5%.
it makes heavy
or
very
something.
fast.
Yeah, and that also means that you will increase your own damage, so the damage downside won't really matter too much, and it will also lower the effective damage of your enemies when you're retreating, because you will be able to kind of like shimmy away from rockets and then surf rockets so they do less damage, but because you have the faster movement speed, you will get flinged further away. So it helps heavy with everything. That he is carefully designed to have. Like, heavy is slow, right? He is big and slow, and he gets hit easily. But now, he's just big, he's not slow anymore.
I mean, I would see this. I would think this might work if it didn't last for a second. Like, I mean, wasn't this an issue with the Natasha where it used to last a second, and then you nerfed it for some reason?
No, I actually buffed
Does
the
last
I actually
a
buffed
second.
the duration. I used to be
Okay.
very
Yeah.
short.
Because
Really?
the duration used to be so short that unless you did the jump as soon as like you stopped shooting, you had like maybe a few frames of opportunity.
Yeah, I
to
think
jump.
you had 2 frames of failure on messing up the timing. So
Yeah.
I made it so that you have, like, you have some time for it to unrev, and then you have a couple of frames to make the jump. And it's actually so little that you don't really notice it. So
But
anyway, that's it for the shotguns. Denied.
that was, it was a good explanation actually. But do you agree with the fact that shotguns should be given something, because right now they're kind of
No.
or no? All right, really. Wouldn't have
I
expected.
think this falls down more into meta and what people are used to doing, because people who play, I would say, get into heavies and stuff now, they are like, they play heavy and they see everybody using the sandwich, and then they get the sandwich themselves, and then they use the sandwich. Because the sandwich is easy, you know? It's like, I have a sandwich, well, am I low in health? I guess I'll eat it. Do I see someone else that's low in health? I'll throw it. And that's it. That's the extent of the gameplay with this. However, with the shotgun, you can apply pressure from any range, and you can also finesse. And I noticed that like a lot of soldiers and demo men, and also scouts, they don't really know how to deal with a heavy that uses the shotgun correctly. Because people underestimate how much damage you can actually output with this thing, and that you can actually kill scouts and other stuff faster with a shotgun at close range than you do with your minigun. So it's just, I think it's just a matter of meta, that everybody's just used to like the easy option and just using that, and never really experimenting with the shotgun. I'm not sure if you guys remember, all back in the day, there was like a European heavy main. He was from Sweden. He was called Alex.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Yeah, and he was like, nah, sandwich is trash, use the shotgun. And he just got so many kills. And he didn't need the sandwich because he killed the enemies before they could do the hurt. So I think it's just a meta thing. That's what I think.
I would at least hope in turn this maybe gets some look at the family business in that regard, since I would say
Yeah,
that-
I will have to, like, because the thing with the reload speed was just like, well, we got to make it good somehow. Yeah, let's just make it good. Throw it on. And
Yeah.
then I primarily had the just a shotgun in mind, and just to make it good with the shotgun without really, checking all the other unlocks.
For sure.
So we might, you know, do some tweaks here and there. Maybe we'll lower the reload speed because 20% is pretty damn fast. And we might do something with the family business to negate the fist combination, if that's that common.
Question
Yeah.
is just, what's the family business like really good for? Because like, wow, you shoot faster.
Yeah, it's better for, it allows you to miss more and stay in the fight longer. And it combos better with the Fists of Steel. You know, the family of fists that I've made a couple of videos about. Because I actually used this against Banny in the show match that I played against them, and they were having troubles killing me, except I had fucking Peter Scraps as a medic, and he sucks and he didn't heal me, so I just fucking died, and I was so mad.
Oh,
Like, even looking at the demo, he's like, I'm with him, and then he just fucks off somewhere.
okay.
But yeah, what I mean with the let's see, I'll have to undo your family business here.
Good.
Let's see. So I'm gonna undo your family business. There we go. Now then it should be back to normal, I think. No, wait. Yes.
Yep, it's back to normal.
Yeah. Just switching back and forth. Yes. So here. So it shoots pretty quickly, right? Let's see here. And I'm gonna go to this team. So the idea with the family business is that you can just kind of just throw this damage out, and then you back off. And then you can also do a shot. Like, let's say you're fighting a soldier. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go soldier. Yeah, I have 5 ping, so I can do it. So yeah, if you back off, I'll watch this. All right, so hold on, I wasn't ready. So I can go put on pressure, right? You shoot a rocket. I switch to this. I switch back. Switch to this again. Now you're out, and I kill you. So it's for bait. It's like with the Fists of Steel and also the shotgun, you can bait. Like it's even better for demos and stuff. You can just throw out some shots and then just wait for them to hit you because they will do 20 less. And also if you have some healing and there's other stuff, you can just survive and do that. And that actually takes quite the amount of positional skill and knowledge of the game, which you don't get from either eating a sandwich or throwing a sandwich.
So kind of like the Frontier Justice, and then you hold it out, like not so you can't see it, and somebody jumps you and you instantly kill them.
Yeah,
kind of
something like that. But it's very much like a grounded move, because once you're in that situation, you can't escape easily. So you're very committal, but there's a high chance you'll win. And it's also good for like those scrappy pushes where your team struggles to gain ground, and there's a lot of snipers, because you will be able to have more movement speed and avoid more shots and stuff.
Well,
so but yeah, but with the actually I haven't tried the family business here. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is good. With the fist, holy shit.
yeah, wait, isn't the reload like the same as the old panic attack or something?
If I might make a humble suggestion, GPS,
Yeah.
I would probably just say to move the reload speed exclusively to the shotgun for heavy, as I would say the other options are pretty well to stand on their own.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just because the buff on the fist means that it buffs all of them inadvertently, which potentially could lead to a situation like this. I'm not sure about the panic attack, but I assume it would also.
I have to run some numbers and some checks here to check like the total damage potential. But I do think it's
Sure.
better than stock if you just keep firing. I think.
For sure. For sure.
But you know that makes it good. You know, when was the last time people had a problem? It's like, oh, I think the heavy shotgun's too good.
Well, you know, it just takes a looking at it under a microscope, I guess, to really figure out what what's going on. But either way, any last thoughts, guys?
Well, thank you for explaining it like that. Maybe I'll actually come up with good ideas next time.
No,
Hey.
like coming up with you gotta come up with the bad ideas to understand why you can't have them, right?
Yeah.
Because unlike I'll have you believe, I've made a lot of bad balance decisions in testing and also in live, where I just like there's some like with the shortstop that could just snipe people with the crits. You know, it did like fucking 180 damage at long range or some shit like that. Yeah, more, and that's because I didn't like my proper testing was inconclusive, and I didn't thoroughly go through every single iteration, because TF2 is a very complex game, and every class has to work differently, and then there's like this whole other relations and stuff you don't really think about. So let's say like this faster reload speed, one thing I haven't thought about is like, well, what about if you have the family business, you have the fists, and then you crit-scrig that? You know, how often does that happen? You know, crit-scrig, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, start a play session, do it right now. But
Yeah.
if you're explaining what's wrong with it and not like in feedback discussion, oh, this idea sucks, then you just never respond. Or like, not
So it's almost as if there's too much, you know?
Yeah, I mean, too many bad ideas.
Yeah, and there's also ideas we've been through before and that I know, like things we've had and tested and kind of confirmed doesn't work.
But I think we're done with this.
Yeah,
But
that was all we had to
Yeah, that's
discuss.
good. One thing that's pretty good with this family guy, or this family guy, this family business sort of thing is that it shows that like even if you apply the same bonus on all the weapons of its same kind, its effects are vastly different. You know, like faster reload speed and higher clip has potential for way higher damage than just 6 clip, but you know, more damage because of how reloading works and downtime and active firing speed and all that. But we can all agree it's better to make something too good than crap.
The play session, let's go. Stack the team and I'll use this.
Yeah, so have you guys tested your shortstop at all?
A bit. It's really, really weird.
Tested it a bit, and what it was, I feel like there's a problem of like what I didn't anticipate when I suggested the idea of like 20% less damage, but like but it was the same firing speed and the higher reload. It's like, or how do I say this? It requires you to be way more precise, or not way more precise, but to do the same amount of damage you would usually do with it. Or I guess, or how do I say this? In my opinion, it's worse now because for it to do reasonable amount of damage, you need to always have a line of sight to the enemy, so you can always like hit all those 4 shots with it. And because also you deal less damage per shot, that means, and because you have a fast reload, you will spend a lot more ammo per kill than, for example, the vanilla shortstop.
Because I'm not sure. Have you guys played all the iterations of the shortstop that has existed in the game?
I don't think all.
Or in Demon.
No, because you know, I've been through all of it. You know, I've been through all the updates, and the shortstop we have now is very much reminiscent of I think one of the earlier iterations we had of it, which was too strong, and it was kind of, they felt like it was kind of a spammy weapon, and that's kind of like what it is now. It is a spammy weapon. Because what I've been trying to figure out with this weapon is if it's possible to have fast reload on 4 clip, if that's at all feasible. And from all the revisions and all the testing and all the things we've been through, it looks like that's not possible to quickly reload all 4 weapons and have it, or 4 clip, and have it feel fine.
Nope.
On the scattergun or in general?
No, I mean on the shortstop.
On the shortstop, because the weapon is kind of built around the entire like identity of you reload a little slower, but you reload everything at once.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna reload everything at once quickly, you have to like have weak shots because you're getting so many more shots out than you would with any other weapon.
Exactly. So,
which like isn't very satisfying to use, and it demands extreme precision to do as well as you would with stock, even at mid-range.
Yeah, I noticed that the damage is really
It actually does less damage than the revolver does.
So like another thing, or
per shot.
Yeah, it does 38 at mid-range and then scales up to like 58 or 59.
Yeah, 57 is the highest. Yeah, so that's kind of like what I'm trying to experiment with, but I think I'm gonna have to just revert it back to vanilla and just kind of leave it and try again later, because we've been through so many iterations of it and none of it has really worked.
Well, yeah.
Because I wanted to give it like the shotgun feel, but then everybody was like, yeah, it sucks. And then
Well, the damage was
It's
really
not
good
gonna
if I
work
recall.
because it's not fair if you get to aim every shot.
yeah.
But yeah, and also like I guess one thing, or it lies, in my opinion, that maybe could change, but like not really that much, is that like, in my opinion, the shove doesn't really do anything.
No.
So maybe remove that
Isn't it
and then
hard-coded?
give. Is it?
Is it?
I think it's
I
only
heard that it was.
it's only really good for like pushing away Ubered players. I think. If you
Okay,
can-
I've actually, the most common use I've found for the shove is if I'm trying to move through a hallway and there's an enemy also going through that hallway, you can push them out of the hallway. That's like the most common use because you literally have to shove them out of the way.
What's the con for Uber?
I think it's 5.
Yeah, can you push me like that?
No.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, you can push
Yeah,
Uber
we can.
people.
It's just
can.
laggy.
Yeah, and I
No,
think
I
you're pushing
think-
each other. Yeah, you can push Ubers.
Yeah, you can.
So I guess
But you
that-
have to run in the face of somebody Uber. That's a bad idea.
Oh, wait.
But a really big problem with the shortstop is walk at me in a straight line, like against this wall. You don't go anywhere if you're walking at me and I shove you.
yeah.
Should do more knockback.
So it's better to just push someone that isn't looking your way, right? Like from behind, I think is the idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if you push someone from the side or from the back, then they can actually go like a respectable
Yeah,
distance.
I think that's by design. Although it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the meeting goes like this. Hey guys, I'm working at Valve, and I think the shortstop should have a push. What, really? Yeah, that's the best idea.
What did it have before that? Wasn't it like more health from health packs?
It got 20% bonus healing from health packs. I think it was supposed to work on everything, but it didn't.
It was supposed to be. They wanted to move all the set bonuses to weapons themselves. So instead of giving Scout plus 25 HP, they moved the. They gave the effectiveness of that to the shortstop. So if you used Mad Milk, you could get good combo potential from it, and the Candy Cane as well.
But
I
the
remember
funny
that
part
being
about that is that the
really
healing
fun.
bonus doesn't affect the Mad Milk. Not a single healing bonus attribute in the game affects the Mad Milk.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it made
Mad Milk
the,
is also something we're looking into nerfing
Oh yeah.
as well. And then also the Girardi idea of self-splash can also be pretty good to have. Even though I shut it down at first and I thought about it, it's like, well, it actually makes sense. Because the self-damage in the official game is actually preserved by the Bushwacker having damage resist. But since we removed that, you don't have that pseudo self-damage resist when you're using with the Bushwacker. So
It doesn't have damage vulnerability.
not in the balance mode anymore, no. It does less damage and deploys slower, so you can't just like really quickly whip it out. You have to like do some prep. But then also I wanted it to kind of be a weapon of its own, not just a combo weapon. So it has like slightly longer range because it has slower deploy speed, but it's not much, and I don't think anyone's really noticed. But you can't like one-shot pyros with the Bushwacker anymore. You have to two-shot them. Since,
Why is it 180 damage?
It does like 165.
165, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Math.
So yeah, like
Oh.
about the, sorry if I'm interrupted, but like about the shortstop, I feel like if the shove is not hard coded, like I
Oh,
think
it is.
I
It fucking is.
okay then okay I don't know then.
Yeah, but what was your suggestion if it wasn't?
I was just gonna suggest like how do I say this? Maybe like 15% more secondary max ammo on bearer, but I think you shot that down when I
Well,
Yeah.
the shortstop functions kind of as like a primary weapon and a pistol at the same time, so that would be a little bit redundant.
It's like
You just take your secondary ammo. To be fair.
Yeah. Well, I know a problem right now in balance mod with the current shortstop iteration is that it runs out of ammo like really fast. I have to steal like all of my teammates' ammo packs in order to sustain spamming it and chipping with
Yeah.
it like I'm supposed to.
So you want me to add more ammo? Is what you're saying?
I mean,
like-
if we want to preserve the current iteration.
Yeah, I
was
mean
gonna
the iteration has been out for like a day, and I already hate it. But
Well, yeah, same
I
here.
have to try it a bit more because I did some testing, and like damage-wise, it sort of like checks out. It's sort of like the new soda popper, and the soda popper is like being able to shoot 2 shots that quickly is still insanely good.
How about this? We're gonna end it here, and I'm gonna go to the play session, test everything we talked about.
Yeah, you go do that. I have some stuff I need to finish up. I might join later, and I might not. But yeah, that was the podcast. Episode 3 was just basically what you guys did in the first part, but just talking about it instead of testing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any other concerns before we end that you want to bring up with me, since I'm here now?
In general.
That was. There's just one thing I have been thinking about, like with the. How do I say this? About like how do you test like DPS on weapons?
Yeah.
It's like, for example, with the Shortstop, as you said, like the damage like checks up, but I feel like for example, the way you test, or like from I have seen, like how you test is that like you test on like stationary targets, right?
Yeah. I'm just doing the raw damage numbers under like perfect conditions under constant fire. And what I do is that I look at it in slow motion, and then I compare the time of death. So I like the way the Shortstop works now is that the scattergun is better until 5 shots or something. And then after 5 shots with the scattergun, the Shortstop kind of picks up and is able to do more kills, basically. And it just keeps up the DPS. So it has like a you have to keep firing it for a while, but after a while it will, outshadow the scattergun because you're able to just maintain constant pressure.
But that's like the thing about this, that like first you would need to have like constant or like 100% perfect accuracy with it to like do that, and then like you would need to have the constant line of sight to the enemy. And since what I said is, since you want to be on like mid range with the Shortstop, there's like more chances of like the enemy going behind a corner than, for example, if you are on the close range there. And also, like, one thing I just want to say about like the testing on stationary targets that I didn't get to say before, or I forgot rather, is like, for example, with the reserve shooter switching speed, also like is that like I can understand like if, how do I say this? Since if I remember correctly, you test the like DPS of like stock shotgun against the reserve shooter in the way that like that you switch from the primary weapon or whatever other weapon to the reserve shooter and the shotgun, like, and then you see which one kills the other person faster, or like you versus the bot, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so like in my opinion that like because, or how do I say this, it's not really like accurate, I guess, because during the fight, like both players there's no way you can guarantee all the time that like the both players will have exact same amount of shots in their clip, and then like also that they will switch to both, or how do I say this, that they will switch to the secondary at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's, how do I say this, in my opinion, the like as you said that the DPS on the reserve shouldn't being better or like faster on the first 4 shots than compared to the stock shotgun. I guess it's not really that accurate, I guess, in my opinion at least.
No, it is if you buffer it. If you hold and just switch and just keep holding, all of the shots will come out faster. And if you know how to aim, it's pretty strong. And that's why I nerfed the firing speed, because it's not like like I said before, the reserve shooter is balanced around stock shotguns sometimes having crits, right?
Yeah.
So it's to compensate for that too, because we don't run crits anymore. And there's a lot of weapons like third degree and stuff that needs a rework for that. But you will definitely notice this like with soldiers and stuff. I'm not sure if you guys buffer or if you wait, but I often buffer just to get stuff out quicker. So yeah, that's it. But like testing on stationary targets is just for pure DPS, but also depends on like the variance in game and stuff. That's like why sniper can be so strong, because if you just test on stationary targets, you kill everything, but thing fights back and stuff. But it's just that like the reserve shooter is still good on the first few shots, and then the more you shoot with it, the less you'll get out of it. So if you're not accurate or able to kill the targets, the regular shotgun would be better. So it depends on your playstyle.
I have one more question, just in general about you. Are you gonna now, like, since you basically made like a scout update quotation marks? Do you think you're gonna like do this more often and maybe make like an update video about it?
Probably. Yes, I will. I'll make make more videos about like what we've done and stuff.
Okay.
Because right now the update was pretty much centered around like competitive concerns. So next up it's like quick fix and vaccinator. We have to look at and figure out exactly if the problems they're saying is actually a problem. You know, back to the thing with the jumps. Like, well, is it an impossible feat to deal with a medic that jumps away when you approach him? Like, is that impossible to do? What if you just put a spy where you know he's gonna jump and you stab him as he lands? Like, is that?
Shooter.
Yeah. Or you could just, you know, shoot him with the reserve shooter, whatever. You know, it doesn't.
Which is also banned.
Yeah, which is also, so you banned the solution too. So.
Well, yeah, true.
Like they just want the one play style that they're used to.
Yeah, and anything that isn't that is bad and sucks, and you're stupid for thinking that.
I go do washing stuff now.
Yeah. All right, well, that's 1.5 hours. It's a good time for a podcast. Very unstructured, and yeah. We'll probably do more of these in the future. So yeah, I've been HiGPS. With me has been the lovely Captain Red, McNam Jam, Quality Count, and Robsan. You guys have any shoutouts before I end it?
Nope.
Go play.
Shoutouts to Bill Shit. Alright.
Oh, okay. Bye!